This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, it is Behind the Video time. This is episode number 34. We took a little holiday hiatus, and the folks out on the West Coast are dragging themselves out of bed this morning. But I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in single-digit weather here in Connecticut. Joining me, as always, is my co-hosts. First is Tim Street. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Lon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And you have the facial hair to prove it. And
that's right. It's still my Movember. I'm just playing with it. I think after CES, it's coming off.
It's coming off of that.
So after CES.
So no one will recognize you afterward, but he looks great. And also smiling as always is Goldie Chan from the Bay Area in California. How are you?
I'm good. It's also cold here, but I think cold by my standards.
Yeah, what's cold there?
It's probably in the 40s or 50s.
That's springtime.
What's hanging on the wall behind you? What is that? What's
I have feathers.
Feathers. Oh, I thought it was a mustache and a beard.
What else would you hang behind you on the wall, behind you in a podcast with feathers, of course?
And what's the metal-looking thing?
What metal-looking thing? What?
Next to the feathers.
Next to the feathers.
A bunch of jewelry.
Oh, jewelry! It looked like it was some kind of Star Wars costume apparatus.
It could be that too.
To put my swords and knives behind me next time.
I see more melee weapons behind you next time. So, and we have a guest, Goldie. So who do we got?
So we have Scotty here, who is actually somebody that I met the last time I held a tweet up in Portland. And Scotty is wonderful. He actually does a show that's been nominated for an IWTV award, so I'll see him next week. It's called The Digits, and it's a really fun kind of interactive-y kids show that has Muppet elements to it. And so I'm going to actually let Scotty maybe say a line or two about the show.
The Digits is an educational math show. It's a narrative, one of the first narrative educational digital shows. It's on the YouTube for Schools network, and it features the greatest unknown rock band in the entire galaxy, who is fighting an evil record label executive who's using music to turn the galaxy stupid.
Nice.
Excellent. That is cool. And let me ask you this, Scotty, because we see a lot of YouTube and independent video content directed at kind of the same age group that produces it, per se, young adults and that kind of thing. And,
sure.
And this is a lot of kid programming. So is there a lot of kid programming out there, or is this kind of unique right now?
There's a certain amount of sort of things that are either they're not necessarily designed for kids, but they appeal to kids. And we all remember Fred or Annoying Orange. And, a lot of the educational stuff on YouTube, though, is all lectures. It's Khan Academy. It's teachers that are posting their own stuff. So one of the first that are taking this the Sesame Street model, right? It's the idea of using narrative and story and characters to really actually teach math. And we're looking at a science and a computer programming show for next year as well.
That's really cool. And do you have educators that you consult with on the show? How do you find content and make sure that it's appropriate?
We have a teacher on staff, actually. Her name is Mary Ann Smith, and she's actually going to be in one of our videos next week. We did a special sort of back-to-school video for the kids that are going back to school next week. She also consulted on our app.
Just once, I want to hear one of these educational shows say, "We have no consultants. We just make this up as we go along. We don't care how it damages the children." Whether that's true or not, I don't care. I just want to hear him say it once.
I don't think Scotty's going to say that to us this time. But I guess
that's about half the educational apps in the App Store.
Oh, there you go.
That's true. Very true.
Scotty, I'm curious. Do you have ads?
Sorry about that.
Ads enabled on your YouTube channel?
We do on the YouTube channel, but not in the app. We're trying to keep the kids side of the Digits experience as ad-free as humanly possible.
Gotcha.
And how do you monetize that if you're keeping ads out of the app?
With in-app purchases. currently the app is free, and the in-app purchases are the second act of the content. So you watch the first, I think, 20 minutes and play 7 different games and interactions, and then after that, for part 2, if you want to find out how the story ends, it's $2.99. We also do a subscription service for parents that let them get notifications on the kids' progress through the app, what they're learning, how they're learning it, and how they can talk about the math lessons in the course of the everyday life at the dinner table or on the way to school.
Wow, that sounds
really
cool.
That's really cool. Best of luck with that. That's excellent.
It's pretty neat.
It's very neat.
I'll send you a download code.
Yes, please do. I'd love to play with it a little bit. So now you're also going to be in Las Vegas, as all 4 of us will be. I'll be missing this component of the week, but you're nominated for an IAW TV Awards. Why don't you tell us what you're nominated for, and what you're hoping for?
Yeah, we're very honored. We got nominated for Best Educational Series along with some great other shows, and we're going down. We're doing a little kind of Twitter campaign where we want to get as many IAW TV members and of the other nominees to take a picture with the digits, and if they tweet it out with a hashtag, which we'll release tomorrow, then we'll add to our donation. We're doing a donation to an educational charity. Right now we're talking to Donors Choose, which is a great educational charity. But yeah, so for every picture with the digits, we're going to add $1 to our donation to Donors Choose.
That is excellent. And actually, I got to meet or hear from one of the Donor Choose people out in Los Angeles at an education conference recently. That's a great charity. They're doing some great stuff. What it is, it's kind of crowdsourcing for individual classrooms. It's a really neat concept there. So, well, Scotty, we want to welcome you on the show, and hopefully you can stick around for a little bit, because we're going to go walk through the video news that we missed over the last 2 weeks. So, well, the first thing is a bit of breaking news. This was broken by Brian Stelter at the New York Times yesterday. Al Jazeera is buying Current TV, which about 6 people maybe watch over the course of a week, perhaps right now. Not to bash them too heavily, but it was a cable channel that former Vice President Al Gore is involved with, and hasn't really been able to get a lot of traction. And it turned out to be a good match for Al Jazeera, who's been trying to get onto American cable companies forever. So now they have gone out and purchased this. Stelter reports that they should be able to get into more than 40 million homes now, and they'll be broadcasting both from New York and Doha in Qatar. So, Tim, any thoughts on this? Is a pretty big deal, right? Because Current was supposed to be this transition from traditional cable to online. Didn't really work.
I think Current failed because nobody wants to listen to the truth, man. But Al Jazeera's, they're buying it not to take it over and make it better. They're buying it for its distribution. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's a lot of news that Al Jazeera produces that we as Americans don't get to consume or just aren't exposed to. So this might expose us to a different side of the story.
It might just do that. And Goldie, what are you hearing out there? Anything on this whole situation?
Not too much. Just mostly, I think the same thing as Tim, which is that people are now looking for distribution channels that have a lot of eyes on. So people are just trying to figure out where are people living, right? And how can you get your content out to those people? So this is an interesting deal. I'm curious to see what will happen in a year with it.
Yeah, it will be, to see how that kind of transpires. So we'll keep an eye on it. It's kind of an interesting story, and I think it will ultimately impact online, because that's where they're all going to end up after they have those 40 million eyeballs on them. So we'll see where that goes. Let's move on to our broadcast television shows. Now, we have current cable ratings, but the cable shows haven't been updated yet. We go to tvbythenumbers.zaptoit.com for all of our rating needs. So that is where we find all this stuff. Scotty, do you watch any television, or do you just produce stuff all day?
We're cord cutters, so we get our stuff from Hulu or for Amazon Prime. So we wait until we find out what's been popular last year, and then complain about spoilers on Twitter.
Well,
that is a good concept to work from. So
I wonder if they'll make a spoiler filter so that you can just How I Met Your Mother. You type that in, and then it just eliminates any spoilers from entering your computer.
That would be a good service. Somebody should come up with that. Because, one of the problems you run into is that we're in this time-shifted world. And I found, and I've complained about this before, like shows that I get into get canceled. So I tend not to watch them until they're like 3 seasons in or something. So, so Breaking Bad for me was all in the last 8 months, right? Because that's when I was watching it. And now...
You were mainlining it.
Exactly. And what'll happen is that somebody will post something that might be common knowledge to Breaking Bad watchers, but for me it was, it's brand new. So you got to be careful what you watch out there. Goldie, any tips for avoiding getting spoiled on Twitter?
Oh, wow. Well,
that's two different things.
Stay off Twitter.
Give back the jewelry and the gift. Yes, stay off of Twitter, or just tell your Twitter followers to not give you spoilers, and yeah, I guess try not to follow people who normally are the ones who are tweeting out, "Oh my God, I just watched Breaking Bad last Friday night, and I can't believe he died."
Right, and now what I do is I tend to turn off Twitter until after I've seen the more recent episode, so that way I'm not too spoiled before we run into it. So, but on the ratings this week, the broadcast show's Person of Interest was number 5 on CBS, 10.3 million viewers. The Big Bang Theory, as usual, is up there at number 4, 12 million viewers. Football in America, of course, the NFL, 15.9 on NBC. That was the December 30th game. And OT, I think, is OT on Fox, is that, what is that? Is that a new show? Anybody know
I don't know that one.
Yeah, the OT it says. So apparently a lot of people watched it because it was
Is there a typo? Was it the OC? They brought it back?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. So, it's a post-game football show.
Oh, so there you go.
That's what it is. So
there we go.
If I was more of a football fan,
is a new drama.
Yeah, it could be, depending on what's going on in the NFL that week. So, and then number 1 was NBC Sunday Night Football, a whopping 30 million viewers on December 30th. So, NFL has had a heck of a season. So this has been really drawing in a lot of viewers. Everything from the refs to RG3, you name it. It's been, even me, like I don't even follow football that closely, and I've been watching it. So it's moving along there. On cable, of course, we've got SpongeBob at number 5 on Nickelodeon.
SpongeBob made it back?
He made it back.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is that because the kids were out of school for the holidays?
It's got to be. Plop them in front of the TV, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised that this isn't, that the channel where you can just watch the fireplace for unlimited hours.
KTLA did a Yule log over the holidays. And all Christmas morning there was just a fire log, and it was great.
I want the fire log to be number 5. I want it to just say fire WWE and then fire log.
Well, what I do is I have this old 1975 television in the basement that I bring up, and because I don't have a real fireplace, so I load up the TV, and it gets so hot it's like having a fire. It's pretty cool. So,
and if you leave it on long enough, it will catch on fire.
Exactly. There's some danger involved with it, so you have to be very, very careful with it. So, number 4, and by the way, these cable ratings are for the week before Christmas, because we have not gotten the updated ratings from our ratings provider. But WWE on USA is number 4 at 4.4 million views or viewers. Football is dominating the last 3 positions: college football on ESPN and 2 of the regular season games on ESPN. The top-rated game was the December 17th NFL regular season game with 10.1 million viewers, which is pretty staggering. So one little bit of cable news, and news has been kind of quiet because we've had the New Year and the holiday break, but Time Warner is threatening to drop Lifetime and E! And I don't know where you're going to watch those crappy movies anymore if they drop those 2 things. But this is, the Sunday afternoons will get a lot more productive for a lot of people. But it looks like this is more of that. This is according to the Wrap.com, more of the just the usual wrangling over rights to broadcast and all that kind of boring stuff. So, but let's move on to movies, because we haven't talked about movies in a while. Now, have any of you seen a movie over the holidays?
Oh yeah.
What did you see, Tim? Did you go to the theater, or did you get the
I saw
screeners?
Django.
How was that?
I did go see Django. Yeah, that's good. How'd you like it, Scotty?
I liked it a lot. I think it was a great blend of this. It's exactly what Quentin Tarantino has said he's been trying to do, which is a mix of, the American historical slave narrative with the spaghetti western, and I really liked it. I did read somewhere that I guess go ahead.
It was definitely a spaghetti western, complete with all the extra marinara sauce splashed on. Lots of marinara.
It actually has a really fun soundtrack too. It kind of almost has this 70s funk country western soundtrack that I've been listening to as I've been doing paperwork.
We'll have to check that. Is that on like Spotify or anything?
I don't know if it's on Spotify, but
you can go to iTunes and listen to samples if you don't want to buy the album.
I will check that out. I will check that out. So, Goldie, what movies did you catch over the holiday?
Well, I caught these all before, but I definitely saw Django Unchained and Les Mis, and the one that's been beating out Les Mis and Django Unchained for #1 for I think 2 weeks straight, The Hobbit.
Yes. $223 million. It's actually leading our box office list of the week here. So what did you think, Goldie?
I liked it, but I also haven't seen it in 48 frames per second yet. So I don't know if I want to sit through The Hobbit again so soon, actually. So I don't know if I liked it enough to watch it immediately again.
Yeah, I saw it, and I watched it at home on a screener. It's kind of long, and I felt like I was being fed only part of the story. I really felt like there was some editing that could have been done to, I feel like I'm being sold two movies for the price of 3. But I didn't pay for it, so I shouldn't complain, right?
It was free anyhow, right?
Yeah.
Well, those were our top 2 movies of the holiday week. So The Hobbit was #1, $223 million so far in ticket sales. Django Unchained is at $64 million overall, $30 million during the holiday week. Les Mis, I haven't seen that. It's been mixed reviews on that one. $28 million this week, $67.5 million.
There is a great, I think, summary maybe on Amazon that this person wrote. And it's just this little paragraph about Les Mis, and it's like, I went and watched this really confusing French movie with my wife. All of a sudden, Catwoman is singing and crying, and then Wolverine comes and tries to save her. But then the Gladiator says, "No, I'm taking the Wolverine to jail." And it just kind of goes on, and you're just like, "This is amazing. This is one of the best summaries I've ever read."
I'll go check that out. Sometimes the reviews on Amazon can be really entertaining, and there was some
controversy about that movie, about the violence in it. Was there not?
Yes. There was actually some controversy over Django Unchained as well, and I know, and Tim can probably confirm this, so I know that they had to cancel a bunch of the Hollywood premieres for these movies after the Sandy Hook elementary incident. So,
yeah,
Tim,
a lot of people were talking about Django Unchained and how violent it was, and Tarantino said, "You think my movie's violent? Try slavery." So,
that launched a whole bunch of controversy when he said that too.
There you go.
But one movie that wasn't so controversial, and #3 on our list, is Parental Guidance, and that is with Billy Crystal, Bette Midler, and Marissa Tomei. That came in at #4.
Did you go see that on Christmas Day, Lon?
No, I didn't see anything on Christmas Day. I had like 4.
I saw that at 48 frames per second. It was really awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did you feel like you were in the talking scenes? Was it, did it feel like...
I feel like I was sitting on Billy Crystal's lap.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's a real experience there. I want to do that too.
Billy Crystal ride.
Well, you can always wait until it comes out on yeah. That one is one to avoid. Jack Reacher is #5, and that
one sounds one to avoid too.
Yeah, a homicide investigator digs deeper into a case involving a trained military sniper who shot 5 random victims. So,
I feel like I've already seen this movie, and I haven't seen this movie.
Right,
so.
Yeah, you know exactly how
to go. Mission Impossible Light. complete with Tom Cruise.
Right, and there will be a whole bunch of action and danger, and at the end of the movie, the bad guy dies and the good guy gets the girl. Right? That's the
well,
the
spoiler.
Sorry.
We just talked about spoiler.
Come on, come on, geez.
Come on, it has Tom Cruise. Spoiler. Come on.
Well, okay, well, there you go. See, Tom Cruise defies time, so you've got to give him that one. So, opening this week, Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Whoa. Educational.
So the that and The Truth were the two that were leading the IMDb buzz charts this week. So we'll see where that goes. But the Wrap reports that movies, especially holiday movies, are getting longer. So Les Mis and The Hobbit, both not so short. Django was pretty long too, right? They've been the average length of the holiday movie, according to this article, have been larded by nearly 10 minutes since 2011.
And I actually wanted to say, has anyone here watched This Is 40 yet?
No.
Yes, I have.
Yes, it's depressing, isn't it?
Yeah, we went through a series of movies where there was uncomfortable humor, and TV shows like The Office. It's uncomfortable humor. Well, with 40 and Silver Linings?
Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, those two movies have a new trend, depressing humor. And it's the new thing. You're going to see TV shows with no, maybe not, but who knows? I could be wrong.
Yeah, if people pay for it, they'll keep making them, right?
The other thing that I've noticed about these long movies is that it has changed movie theater operations. So when I go to the movie theaters now, you have to line up for the movie, and they keep everybody out of the theater so they can clean it really fast and turn it around really fast. And it's almost like going to an airport and getting on a Southwest flight. It's that same feeling where they're lining you up, they're getting you ready, they're going to get you into that theater as quickly as possible. Do you feel that
somebody else steals your overhead space that you've been eyeing as you walk down the aisle?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, this will lead to the $10 early boarding fee, right?
I think so. So you can get in early and watch commercials.
That is exactly what I want to do. So, and then you have to sit through 20 minutes of commercials and trailers. So
no, 30 minutes if you show up
see, here in Connecticut, we haven't gotten to the 30 yet. So we're still
15, 20 minutes of trailers, but before that, you get commercials. You get like the Coke film, or the Geico film, or the NBC fall release film.
Right.
I loved it when local theaters used to just do those little, those fun little things that were like, here's trivia. Who was the person who sang this song in the movie?
Or where did Scotty go?
Where did Scotty go?
And we'll tell you the answer right after this break. Is the right? That's how they do it. Now, Tim, do you recreate the aura of movie commercials when you're doing the screeners at home?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you have to replicate the entire thing to be able to vote. I turn on my
DVR. I wish I had TiVo. That's a whole other story. But anyway, I turn on my DVR and I fast forward to a commercial break. I watch that commercial break, and then I fast forward to the next commercial break, and then I play the movie.
Well, Tim, I think it would be more effective if you went on YouTube and you watched your friends' content, but only watched the commercials before their content.
That would be good. I could get more commercials in and make my friends more money.
Now, YouTube. So there are some people who are putting ads up on front of their YouTube ads, and we have our top 5 of the week. Number 5 is Charlie the Unicorn 4.
Outer space!
Outer space. So and it opens with these 2 unicorns in a rocket crashing. Tim, can you tell me more about this Charlie the Unicorn series?
I think Goldie's the right person to talk about Charlie. I think she has a lot of...
Charlie the Unicorn.
So fill us in. What's the deal?
So Charlie the Unicorn originally was this very short viral video. I can't believe they're actually already on number 4. But years ago, and basically
2006, right?
Yes, ages and ages ago. And it's just about a unicorn named Charlie, and the unicorn just gets followed, and you just hear somebody go, Charlie, Charlie, and it's cat humor on YouTube. It's wonderful, and very enlightening.
And annoying.
Yeah, I could only get through about 2 minutes of it. But if you're into Charlie and the Unicorns, you're there. So, number 4 was a Z Frank. And he is back, and he's got one on the anglerfish. Some great footage.
It's really good. It's great. It's awesome. He really shows you about those mean and nasty female anglerfish and all the terrible things they do to the male.
So there's life lessons in here?
That sounds like some bitter interpretation of it.
If you want to take it that way, woman.
Looks to me like the male anglerfish does it for himself.
So Girls' Generation is number 3, and is this like a Japanese pop band?
It's a Korean female pop band. They're incredible. What is probably their closest, kind of like Spice Girls when they were really hot in the U.S. They're a little bit like that. There's about 1 million of them in the same group. Are these ones
managed by the same group that manages Psy?
No, they're managed. There's 2 conglomerates that manage all the music in Korea, and Psy is managed by one, and Girls' Generation is managed by the other. There's about 10 of them in there, and they alternate out actually based on votes. So who you see in the music videos are actually who people vote for on their fan sites and stuff. So members are incentivized to kind of be as popular as humanly possible on their Twitter accounts and Facebook or whatever they use, so they get into the music videos.
And does this ever get nasty with like these stars?
Death threats?
Yeah,
death threats.
Yes. So there's drama, there's intrigue. It's like a reality show.
It is like a reality show, but it's they're actually producing decent music. I guess I don't really listen to them, but I know an unfortunate amount about them.
There's going to be a big scandal this year, I predict, with Charo. Charo will be brought back in, and it'll be terrible.
Wow. Well, that's something. Number 2 is the footage from the dash cam in Russia of that plane crashing into the highway. I don't know if you all saw that one. That was pretty scary. And, in Russia, you ever seen that there's been a real huge proliferation on YouTube of these dash cam videos? And the reason is that nearly everyone in Russia now is putting one of these cameras in their car because of like insurance fraud and all that other kind of stuff. So you can. There's no trick.
Soviet Russia, insurance pays for you.
Yeah, it is very good.
It's very good. They're these looping dashboard cameras, and they record everything. If you go just poke around on YouTube a little bit, there is some crazy stuff. Like there was one video, I guess they had done some road work and not properly finished it, and this guy's driving and his car just gets catapulted and stuck on this pole that was sticking out of the road. Like just crazy stuff. But
you know what? I learned
it can totally be a web series
from Law and Order SVU, which I've been watching an unfortunate amount of, is that taxi cabs in New York City have cameras that record, I guess for security reasons.
Oh yeah, actually, I was in my $80 cab in LA, and they had a recorder in there too.
Did you get to keep it for $80?
Yeah, I owned the cab afterward. I could have gotten one for that much, but my lord, it was expensive.
Was that from the airport to the hotel?
Yeah, I made the mistake.
Also this cab that there's a driver is actually the host of a game show. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in New York City.
The one where you lose and they drop you off in the middle of nowhere in some lousy.
There's a lot of cameras in that one.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of cameras in that one. Yeah, no, I mistook the flat rate thing. Apparently, my hotel wasn't in the flat rate range, so
of course not.
I paid top dollar. So then I ended up with another lousier service on the way back, but it was a heck of a lot cheaper. So
your limo would have been $75.
Oh, really? I could have gone stretch, and people would have thought. Huh.
You could have gone town car, I think, for $75.
Okay. Well, I want to look important, so I would have probably just opted for the limo then, maybe. But
there you go.
The Ultimate Fails compilation of 2012 is the top video of the week. 21 million views since it was uploaded just a few days ago. And I guess they just go through all of the things that happened on YouTube of massive failures of people falling and hurting themselves and construction accidents.
I thought it was a stream of C-SPAN.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you were watching Congress, it's probably in there somewhere. So, but Tim, let me ask you this question, because this is one of those things that
those bums in Congress. Hey, what do you think about those bums?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You could tape the debate for a week and have this wouldn't be as interesting as people falling off of staircases, I guess. But or maybe for some it might be. But this is one of those things where people are going out to other YouTube channels and grabbing their content and then compiling it and then putting a video up with a ton of traffic. Now, it doesn't look like they're monetizing this particular video, but what do you do about this?
Well, do you want to do anything about it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not in there, thankfully, because I didn't have one of these horrible failures.
It's an interesting situation for YouTube, but as long as they're not monetizing it, it seems like YouTube is leaving it up. It'll play out either way. I can see a lot of takedown notices coming, but on the other hand, people want their content seen, so it helps them for it to be seen.
And in this case, they wouldn't be able to really share this revenue amongst all the contributors to the video, right? I mean, so
not yet, but theoretically, it could be done.
So I think one of the problems you run into with this is that these are typically just uploaders doing who aren't real serious YouTube users who upload something, it gets picked up by a few aggregators, and the next thing you know, someone could be profiting from what you're doing. Any thoughts on that, Goldie?
Yeah, no, I think that it's just this fine line, right? I think Tim's right in that you do want to have your content be seen, but then, of course, right, for you, Lon, you don't want people to be monetizing your content and taking that content money away from you. I think that if it's properly attributed, then it's fine. But who's going to properly attribute in a YouTube compilation? Very few people. So it's just hard. I don't know.
Frank did it in the Anglerfish compilation.
Yep.
And he is monetizing.
I think that's the big problem
video.
with this Ultimate Fails complication. Yeah. I just think it's sort of good web practices to say where you got things as best you can, and that was, seems a little. Even if they're not monetizing it, it's a little. They're still gaining the recognition. They're probably getting a lot of subscribers from it, and they may monetize them later, which to me seems like they should. That should be something worth noting for YouTube. That it's bad community behavior.
Right. And it's one of those things, too, when you get 21 million views on something, there's some serious revenue potential for YouTube itself, that if they aren't able to run ads on it, then they're losing out a little bit also on that. But
bandwidth's free.
That's right. It's totally free.
Nobody pays for
that. It just comes from heaven. It just rains down.
From the cloud. It's from the cloud.
And speaking of another non-monetizable station on YouTube, the White House released an email just about a week before Christmas that they surpassed 100 million video views in the last 4 years. And this is, I think...
USA! USA!
Wait a second. And what has Psy done? 1 billion.
Yeah, so...
billion.
Apparently there's a lot more of an interest in listening to Psy than hearing the president talk about the fiscal cliff. But nevertheless, it's kind of, from a news perspective, it's interesting because this is probably the first time in history that the White House could get its own message out, video message out, around the press. And there's been some consternation over it. I think at this point, the viewership on individual videos is in the 20 to 30,000 range, which is certainly not going to compete with news agencies. But I think there is a little bit of nervousness out there because at some point, when will the government just start doing its own news? And I think that's been a little bit of a discussion in journalism circles. But at this point, it looks like they're successful on YouTube, but not to the point where they're threatening the incumbents with that. So did you watch the fiscal cliff statement, Tim?
Yes, I was standing on the edge with all my fellow Americans, and I was listening really closely, and behind the closed door, I heard President Obama tell Boehner that if he didn't make this happen and do a tax increase, that he would spend the rest of his presidency telling people how the Republicans ruined the global economy. That's what I heard.
Well, hey, it's tough negotiating.
And I also read it this morning on Bloomberg.
So that's it exactly. You gotta get two sources for every piece of news there. That's one of those things that you always have to follow there. So let's close out this week. We got a couple of apps of the week to discuss, and Goldie has her trends of the week. So we'll begin with Goldie. What's the trends? What do you got?
So I'm going to go over the last couple of weeks because it's been, all the holiday seasons and stuff like that. And, of course, we had the world ending. So I don't think we covered that trend yet. So as the world attempted to end itself, we got all these really great things on Twitter, jokes about the world ending, jokes about what will happen tomorrow, sales about the world ending and stuff like that. So there was a lot of great content around that. And then this week, I think we've actually been seeing a little bit about the fiscal cliff by people who have never seen any sort of real content about the fiscal cliff but are commenting about it. And then also, of course, mentioning Al Gore because of the sale of current TV. So that's my trends for this week.
Quite a lot trending. My app of the week this week is something called Director. And again, you cannot have an app without losing a vowel or two. So this is Directr. It is it's on the iPhone. I'm not sure if it's available for other stuff yet, but what's cool about it is that how often do we see these really crappy 15-minute videos of stuff that would be a lot better if they had some editing behind them. So what Director does is it gives you a storyboard, a drawn-out storyboard, and then it has you go and shoot something that follows that storyboard concept, and they keep these clips very short, so you can't go out and record 15 minutes here. It's like 5 seconds of this, 10 seconds of that, and they kind of guide you through putting together a video. And then at the end, it compiles it, and you can post it on YouTube or share it with other people on Director. They're allowing people to create their own storyboards, so you can kind of walk people through doing different things. And it's kind of I think it's good for kids, especially who want to learn how to compose a video properly, but might be good for people who are interested in learning more about producing their own stuff to kind of follow some storyboards that were made by professionals about how to follow some basic concepts that might get more viewership. So I thought that was kind of
not good for people who have trouble following directions.
No, but there are pictures versus words. So perhaps, if you're not into reading directions, you can follow along with the picture, and that's what they do. So I was really impressed with it. It's a cool little app. It was down for a couple days because some cloud server crashed somewhere. But
that happens.
It happens. Well, it's funny. I got an email from them telling me that the server crashed, and then 20 minutes later, I got another email from them asking me why I hadn't been using the app.
It's good because you were trying to get Netflix to work, but it was also crashed.
It was also down, and even Amazon's streaming thing was crashed over Christmas too. I was trying to watch Ted. I'd rented Ted. Yeah. And it didn't start. I couldn't start the movie, and I had to write to Amazon and say, "Hey, I couldn't. I tried. First of all, you got to tell me you're going to watch this movie, and then I couldn't watch Ted, and they gave me a credit. They said they don't usually do this, but they're going to give me a credit because of the circumstances.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
I can watch Ted again another time. So
that's good.
Yeah, it was very nice of Amazon to do that.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It was.
It was, but then I had to just kind of twiddle my thumbs for the rest of Christmas Eve because
did you get your tongue stuck on your keyboard.
Yeah. That's my traditional Christmas movie, by the way. Is Christmas. That's a great movie. It's an excellent film. So let's look ahead, though, for the new year, and I'd love to get Scotty's impressions on this too. We wanted to try to put on our Johnny Carson soothsayer hat and look ahead about where we think all these video trends.
We could do that, can't we? Somehow.
Yeah, there might be a hat in there. Goldie will look for the hat. And while we do that, I wanted to kind of pick Tim's brain a little bit and Goldie and Scotty.
This is really just the best one to put for this.
There you go. So
I'm thinking about this.
So Goldie's given this some thought, and Tim will give it some thought, and Scotty will give it some thought. But we wanted to really again figure out what's going to be in the year ahead. So Tim, where do you see video headed next year or this year?
I think we're going to see some consolidation, some more consolidation of these YouTube channels or YouTube networks snatching up shows and consolidating them under one umbrella, and then major media companies snatching up these YouTube networks. I think we'll see some of that this year. I also think we'll see video used more the way that Arab Spring has happened. I think we're going to see some of that happening with companies. I think we're going to see some policy issues play out with video this year. I think that Data capping will probably be first and foremost, and that will play out probably in the second quarter of this year. We'll see some like SOPA type protests happen on data caps because that really limits education. If you can only get 2 gigabytes on your phone, and your phone is the only way that you have to watch educational videos online, then either you have money to get educated or you don't. So that's going to play out, and I think we'll see some new types of programming develop that we haven't ever thought of before. Things that are interactive in ways that we haven't thought of. The way that television, developed, and at first it was just repurposed radio. The way that we're sticking repurposed TV shows on interactive devices, we're going to see some new interactive programming that happens in ways that we haven't thought of.
Fascinating. What about ebooks?
Yeah, ebooks, definitely more going on there. It'll be interesting to see how the lending aspect of ebooks plays out, because right now local libraries are starting to let ebooks be shared within the library system. It'll be interesting to see if more of that happens. Amazon does have a lending program in Amazon Prime. Right now, Apple doesn't. So be interesting to see if they do, if Google has it on Google Play or not.
Apple gives nothing away for free, right? So it's
well, they do. They give away a lot of software for free when you buy the dongle, which is the computer.
That's very true. And Goldie, I have to go to you next because you found your pirate talk like a pirate prediction gear. So what are you predicting for the coming year?
Nice.
She's got Tim's goatee now. It's kind of
I tried to replicate the facial. I could only get half of his eyeglasses though, so just a monocle.
Good.
I mean, I really think that this coming year we're just going to. What I'm hoping is that we do have a lot more transmedia. We do have a lot more interactive that happens, because right now we're just starting to get used to that term. We're starting to get used to the idea that we have interaction on web content, and so I'm hoping that we keep going down that direction. And yes, we do learn how to, or some of the bigger companies figure out a way to have an effective lending library for content. So you can rent, like on Amazon Prime, a movie or book or something like that for a week or whatnot, just like you would on a traditional in a traditional library. So I'm hoping for more transmedia, more lending of content, and then of course, new ways to monetize, right? New interesting ways to make the monetization process on the audience side less intrusive, because right now it's still really the traditional ad format and opt-in and buy and things like that. So I just hope that during this next year we find out more ways that we can kind of take that to the next level and do ads in a way that makes sense.
And Tim has found his Google headband. For those listening, we are playing with Google has these masks that you can overlay during your Google Hangout, including sound effects and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, Scotty, where do you? Yeah, ka-ching is what we all want to hear. Scotty, where do you see educational programming going next year? That wasn't the Gong Show gong.
Here it comes. I'm actually really interested in Kansas City. It's where Google Fiber is. They have bundled the Google Fiber service with cable channels. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in terms of the business model for the content providers, as well as for Google and the people that are going to be making stuff with those big, fat data pipes they've got down there now. So that's kind of what I'm looking at the most. And on the education side of things, they're implementing the Common Core next year, which is a nationwide set of curriculum that is supposed to keep a student from Massachusetts on the same plane as a student from Texas, as a student from Washington State. So I hear a lot of teachers talk about the difficulties in rolling that out and implementing that in their current curriculum, but there is a lot of content out there, the digits included, that follows the Common Core, that lets teachers kind of, customize their classroom video experience. So those are the things that I'm looking at for this coming year.
And with the Common Core too, it's a lot more critical thinking versus just fiction and that kind of stuff, right? So it's going to require a much different kind of messaging in how you package your content, right?
It's an improvement over previous curriculum, but there are still some complaints about it in terms of benchmarks and what they're the amount they're required to teach every year, depending on class sizes. And the problem with having the same level of having everyone try to reach the same curricular goals in a year is that geographically, economically, a classroom of 40 kids in Chicago is going to have to make the exact same goals as a classroom of 10 kids in Palo Alto. So,
right.
We'll just have to see how that plays out.
It can be challenging. Education is certainly not a one-size-fits-all business, but I think you've got yourself in a really good place here, and we're really excited to see what you do next. My only prediction for the year, I've been looking around at some of these social networking trends, and YouTube is probably the second or third highest trafficked website on the internet. And if you look at the top three, it's Google, it's YouTube, and it's Facebook. And I think YouTube and Facebook might flip-flop a little bit as time goes on. But I see probably Google's social networking revolving around video in 2013, mainly because they have this huge community site through YouTube that has already been an active social network, and how they merge those two, Google Plus to YouTube is going to be probably Google's biggest challenge of the year. But it will be intriguing to see, how this competition kind of plays out, because I think Google Plus has got some pluses, but I've seen things drop off pretty substantially. When we started this show, when we would go live, we would just get 30 or 40 people on the minute we started, just because there were so many people poking around on Google Plus. And now that's certainly not happening as often. So, and I don't think it's us. And with all these faces we can make, why would they not tune in? Thank you, Tim. But I think in the next coming year, they've got all these people and all this traffic on YouTube, and I think we're going to see a really big merger between that. I think that move to subscriptions is very similar to a like somewhere else, right? So the news feed in YouTube is beginning to look a lot more like a social media news feed as opposed to just a bunch of videos getting thrown at you. So it's going to be an interesting year. And the nice part about YouTube, unlike Facebook, is that everything you post can have the potential of being monetized through a revenue share. And it's certainly motivated me to make more of my little product review videos, just because it's become a supplemental income for me. So why not?
What's your biggest one? What's your most popular one?
A couple of them are pretty good. Believe it or not, I kid you not, I shot this video with my iPhone in all of 3 minutes of a really vanilla Seagate external hard drive, and that one's up there. The Parrot AR drone. Collectively, I got about 20 or 30,000 views on my review of that, and I took some footage from the device to show that off. And I think there was some other one there. I did a lot of NASA stuff, but when the space shuttle program was ending, so those aren't quite product reviews, but I've been getting a lot of traffic on that. Oh, and then the laser tag. Have you seen the laser tag guns that you can hook your iPhone up to?
No, I haven't seen those. It sounds fun.
It really isn't. But,
it's terrible.
I did a review, kind of detailing how it crashes in the middle of your match and how easy it is for siblings to cheat on each other and that kind of stuff. And
in a world where Nerf exists, they just have no reason to be.
Exactly. See, I existed pre-Nerf, so laser tag was like the original laser tag was a huge thing. But it was interesting. What I've been finding is that the Sony camcorders, a lot of the consumer the stuff that really obviously works better for a larger consumer market are the things that have developed the biggest amount of interest. I've also done a lot of reviews on Blackmagic products, which get fewer views but get a lot more interaction. So I get a lot more questions. Most of them emailed to me directly than I do on some of the other product reviews. So it's been interesting to see how
so you make less money and spend more time.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome. I want some of that.
There is a karma thing here, though. I mean, for every person I help with their black magic product, it means that somewhere a star will be looking out for me. But Tim and I will be the stars at well, not the stars, but at one of the seminars. Tim and I will be the stars together. We will occupy the same space for the first time ever. And we are going to be on the It's Alive panel. This is at New Media Expo next week, and our panel is January 8th, Tim, or 7th?
One of those days.
Tuesday at New Media Expo in 2013. We will be talking about how we make this podcast and a bunch of other stuff. And I'm on the stage with Tim and two other really talented people who do live streaming, and I am excited to be a part of that. And I appreciate Tim hooking me up with that opportunity. And Tim, what else is going on next week?
Gosh, there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend at New Media Expo. A lot of bloggers, a lot of video content creators in Vegas. If there's any opportunity for you to make it to Vegas, it's taking place at the Rio, and you should definitely go. If you can't, follow it online at New Media Expo and at Blog World. Those are two of the Twitter hashtags and handles that you can look for. And then also CES has a lot of stuff going on. The IAWTV is having the IAWTV Awards on January 8th. There's also an educational track that the International Academy of Web Television is putting on January 8th at CES. You can go to iawtv.org to find out more about both of those. There's also Digital Hollywood is taking place at CES, and a couple more shows as well. So if you want to learn more about creating content, New Media Expo and CES, check them out. And then you get to see all the good new gadgets as well. So fun time for everyone, and extremely overwhelming if it's your first year going.
Yeah, I told Goldie and I were talking before the show, and I said if I was sticking around for CES, my head would explode. I'd be unable to function. So
well, let's film that live.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll get some views. Maybe I'll make some money. Goldie, where can people find you?
People can always find me on the Twitterverse at Goldie Chan, or at either of my two shows, at Cost of Capital TV or at Otaku the Series.
Keeping busy. And Scotty, now you've got a bunch of stuff, so what's the best place for people to find all of your things?
Best place is watchthedigits.com. It's where we've got our all the information about the digits and sort of what I've been up to lately. And we'll see, and hope to see you guys in Vegas.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Lon Seidman. You can find me on Twitter at LonSeidman. Thank you all for tuning in and listening and watching. We're back on our normal schedule, so we will keep producing podcasts for your enjoyment and informative education or whatever. So thanks again. This is Lon Seidman. We are A Wrap. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.